Hello, my name is Jared Paulson. I'm an acupuncturist and Chinese herbalist, and I'm here with Dr. Sodhi, Ayurvedic and naturopathic physician. And one thing I get asked about a lot by people, since I work for an Ayurvedic company, but I'm a Chinese herbalist and acupuncturist, is some of the similarities and differences between the medicines. And it's something we talk about a fair amount just when we're walking around the office or what have you. But we thought maybe we'd kind of do a video here for everybody talking about some of the basics to start with, and if it turns into a series, great, we can go all crazy with it. But today I wanted to talk about the basic principles of Chinese versus Ayurvedic medicine. So in Chinese medicine, we have yin and yang, the two opposing forces that create the universe and everything in it. In Ayurveda, there are the three doshas, which I'll let you say a bit about.
No, actually, let's come back to the yin and yang. So the yin and yang concept is also present, which we call Shiva and Shakti.
Mm-hmm.
That is the basis of the whole creativity of the world. And we have the three gunas, we call them, and they're called Sattva, Raja, and Tamas. Sattva is the pure truth. The Rajas is the movement factor. Tamas is destructive factor. So these three factors are constantly happening in the universe. And the Shiva and Shakti, the male and the female, are yin and yang.
Mm-hmm.
Or when they are combining together, they're creating these Sattva, Raja, and Tama, the three forces of the purity, of the movement, and the destruction. And so look at any aspect of anything. There's a creativity, there's a sustainment, there's a destruction. And that is the law of this earth.
Yeah.
If you're living, and maybe different in different planet, we don't know. But if you live on this universe here, on this earth planet, that is the law. So the yin and yang is similarly coming from that, the male and the female energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are not different in that way. We are very similar, but this is actually called Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya is the word from Sat, mean truth, Akhya mean to say, the reality. When you say that how, if you look at anything in the Mother Nature, there is a negative and positive. Even Sal has on one side is a positive charge, on the other side is a negative charge. Everything you take, there's a yin and yang, there's a positive and negativity. So we're not different in yin and yang policy over there. The doshas are a derivation of the elements, like 5 elements in Chinese and 5 in the Ayurvedic medicine. In the Chinese medicine have you can correct me if I'm wrong. You have the
basically, so the two differences would be we use
wood
metal and metal. Yeah,
wood
exactly.
and metal.
Yeah.
So we have ether, air, fire, water, and earth.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
you guys have wood and metal for that.
Yeah. So no air and no ether.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these principles are, the understandings are very closely similar, but these 5 elements, when they're performing everything in the universe, and these 5 the elements are actually a quantum physics. So there is energetic molecules which has no motion in it.
Mm-hmm.
When this energetic molecules start to move, there is a movement. That is the air principle.
Right.
Okay. The molecule as it is without the movement is ether.
Mm-hmm. Right. That sense of space.
Space, exactly.
Yeah.
And then it moves. That creates a stir, and that is the air molecule. When there is air, there is a friction that molecules are rubbing on against each other. So what you create is a fire out of it. And that's what the fire element comes in. When there's a fire, 2 things happen. Certain things become liquid, and certain things become solid. So liquids are water principles, and the earth becomes from the solid principle. So this is the continuity of the energetics, and starting with the Shiva Shakti, or the yin and yang, and then the universes combine, the energetics of yin and yang combines, and they create the Sattva, Raja, and Tama, these 3 properties, and they actually further making these 5 elements from there.
Right.
And then from these 5 elements, we are creating doshas. The ether and air becomes vata, water and the fire becomes the pitta, and the fire and water becomes the kapha. So now that's how we're transferring into vata, pitta, and kapha.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of taking things a step further and combining the elements. It's interesting how Ayurveda does that. In Chinese medicine, we talk a lot about, yin creating yang and yang creating yin. Do you see, and controlling each other as well? do the doshas have that same kind of controlling and creation pattern between the three?
I think, again, yin and yang, when we call it, which will be not a good comparison to doshas.
Right.
Okay, but the one dosha which has the movement factor is the vata.
Yeah.
The two doshas, pitta and kapha, are without movement.
Mm-hmm.
So what makes them move is the vata. So vata is the movement force behind the pitta and against the kapha. So yes, so they cannot live without each other either.
Right.
Okay, because there is a factor which is the movement factor, which is actually moving other things too. And so yes, there is a continuity and change. And you coming from the Shiva and Shakti principle, so they are, when they combine, they become the complete.
Right.
There's actually Sanskrit shloka which is called Purna, or complete. So when they become complete, then the creativity starts from there.
So yeah, in Chinese medicine, I mean, yin and yang is really central to how we practice the medicine. And in Ayurveda, the doshas are really central. Do you guys really use the principle of Shakti and Shiva in medicine, or is that more kind of the philosophical underpinnings that create the medicine?
That is the philosophical basis, which creates the actually comes under the creativity of the whole universe.
Right.
But the moving factors are the vata, pitta, and kapha. So vata mainly responsible for the movement factors.
Yeah.
The signals transferring, the electrical transfer of the nutrients, expelling anything which moves. Anything transportation in the system. The pitta is the metabolic form. The heat, the intelligence. The kapha is the structure form, bones and muscles, and the mucus, the fluidy things, which is also makes the kapha. So now there is a synergy between all these three factors, and you can be dominantly in vata, pitta, and kapha, so that makes you move more.
Right.
Like there are, for example, if you have more water principles in you or kapha principle in you, these guys will be affected with the moon and the sun cycle more. Because like a gravitational force.
Right.
So I think there is an interesting factor to it, because they has a lot more fluid in them. It's like the high tide and low tide.
Yeah.
And that will make difference in their attitude in the females more than the male, but because they are more sensitive, because they cycle more. The males doesn't have cycles. So but they will you see a lot more females having more effect with that one. Although male also get effect.
Right.
But if you choose who is having more effect, is a female with that.
Yeah, one interesting area that I see, because information is constantly going back and forth between China and India historically. There's a lot of debate about, which came first, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine. But one place where I really see a lot of similarities, and I see the Ayurvedic influence on Chinese medicine, is the reflection of the doshas and what we call the jiaos, the three jiaos, or the triple burner. And there are very few places in Chinese medicine where we use threes. And there are a few with the I Ching and things like that, but usually it's going to be pairs from the yin and yang. But it's called the triple burner, and it divides the body into three different sections. The upper section is really dominated by qi production and distribution through the body, so the lung, the heart, things like that, distributing and creating qi, which is very similar to the prana principle, and vata dominating the upper part.
Exactly.
The middle in Ayurveda would be, pitta,
right.
which is in Chinese medicine, really the digestive organs, which
That's
pitta
right.
dominates.
That's right.
And then the lower jiao is really involved with water transformation. The kidneys are really the powerhouse of the body in Chinese medicine.
That's right.
But you tend to see a lot of the water imbalances in the lower jiao, which would be the kapha dominant part of the body. So interesting to see how that kind of came over. Yeah, and it's you can find philosophical reasons for why they did that, but I think it's a real clear indication of how the medicines influenced each other over the eons. And
that's right.
So yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing. So. Any other thoughts on that?
So the one interesting concept of Ayurvedic medicine is we talk about the three doshas and the layers in the body and the excretory products.
Yeah.
Mainly three. So to create a balance, we have to look at all of them. You look at how your doshas are behaving with you. Like for example, if you're not sleeping properly, your vata is going off balance. If you are irritable, your pitta is going off. If you are very depressed and attached too much, has a hard time letting go, the kapha is getting. So you can be actually changing your doshas by just the thought process or the emotional thought process you're in that moment. And so when you get really angry at somebody, you are actually making your pitta more go higher. And it's interesting, when you have that phase, the body will react according to that, and the chemicals will change, and that will affect your different layers. For example, in even Chinese medicine, they have the similar stuff too. When you are anxious, the nervous system blows off, and the adrenal glands. Okay. When you have a pitta imbalance, your liver and your spleen get off, and your small intestine and the stomach area get. So people get more heartburns and type of stuff. When the kapha goes off, they get more attached, and they get more mucousy, they get more sluggish, weight gain, slowness in them. So interestingly, and then they play on different organs. The kapha will get more on the lungs, more on the watery organs like kidneys and the bladder type of stuff, So, and then they will create an imbalance in that one. So you have to look at the whole picture. So you're looking at the dosha, you're looking at the 7 layers, which is, we call them rasa, rakta, masa, meda, asti, majja, shukar, mean the secretions, the blood, the muscles, the bones, bone marrow, the hormones. So all those things, there is an interplay. Everything is playing with each other. And depending upon our emotions, our food, the environment we live in, the amount of water we drink, and the amount of sleep we get in, and they creates a inference, the nutrient part and the garbage part. The garbage part get rid of from the system by your urine and feces and swelling. This is a nutshell of it, but there's tons of stuff happening in between. And if you don't have a balance in that one, now you're creating an imbalance, and that causes the disease. The normal part of the body doesn't want to be diseased. It doesn't want to be sick. It will try to balance it out. But when we are not working in accordance to the laws of Mother Nature, we're going against it, the imbalances start, and that starts setting in the disease pattern.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's man, we could go on and on this.
I know.
And I'd love to do more of these going forward. So if anybody ever has any ideas on things we can talk about, comparing the 5 elements, the 7 tissue layers versus Zong Fu theory for the organ theory in Chinese medicine, and looks like we do have a question. What are the liver and kidneys? Well, so in Chinese medicine, I'd say, the kidneys, they're like the battery for your body. It's where all the energy you were given at birth or conception by your parents resides and declines as we age. And the liver is really central to the production of blood and the circulation of energy through the body. To keep it simple, that's how I describe it in Chinese medicine.
The Ayurvedically, liver is the warehouse of the blood. Okay, it's the pitta organ.
It's
a fire.
Yeah, it tends to get, when it's out of balance in Chinese medicine, you get a lot of fire.
Exactly. So the fire is very important for the body. So the analogy will be like you have a cook stove and you're cooking your food on it. Now, if you put too much heat, it's going to burn it. If you put under heat, it's going to not cook it. So that is the function of that. If it detoxifies, that's exactly the same type. So if you're not have a pitta balance in there, either you're undercooking it or you're overcooking it, and you're making more toxic load, both sides.
Right. Yeah.
Okay? And the kidneys are a kapha organ, but it's also attached to the vata because the movement factor, removing the toxic load out of your system. So and it's also actually taking care of the liver toxins. So you can see all are related to that one. So if you have imbalance in the kidneys, you're going into a more deeper layer there.
Right. Yeah. Same thing in Chinese medicine. Yeah.
And actually the disease is getting like we see a lot of people with adrenal fatigue. And exactly now it's more difficult to treat that one because it's not easy.
Right.
And these patients are running from one doctor to another, and they're finding some basic wonderful pill to heal it, and it doesn't happen because unless they put all the segments. Stress reduction, yoga, breathing exercise, good food, good sleep.
What we call it, adrenal fatigue, and mainly when I was a student, because we're here in Seattle, we called it Microsoft syndrome.
I call it a information overload syndrome because there is so much information going out there these days. We have a hard time. Even being a physician, I try to keep myself on top of it, but there's so much to come. and you can just take one line. Even that is, you can't even keep up, So the natural medicine is vast, and there's a huge plethora of knowledge is there, and sometimes, oh my God, this is hard to keep it up.